Steve, you lost yours too?
Yep. It says it's been turned off by the host. It's been stopped, I should say.
Your video shut off, but you
No,
have
no,
the
no,
sound.
hang on. Steve, the only people on the screen are the council.
Yeah, Steve,
Okay.
your video is
That
going
was
to be
on
off.
before, That's fine.
All right, everyone, it says here webinar is now streaming live on YouTube. Okay, so we are going live, so everybody just be aware of that. Okay.
Correct. And we have a 1 minute to the live to the
Right.
vision. Mary's turning equipment on. So YouTube is on with a 30 seconds delay.
Right.
Let's be ready. We have about 30 seconds to go live on the cable vision.
Then everybody, please just remain, till we get on here.
Very good. Transmission is ready.
Okay, it's now 7:30. Good evening and welcome. I'd like to call to order the May 4th, 2020 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to the
republic
republic
and
One nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
for all.
and justice.
as customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment of silence. Remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, and this evening for those who have passed during this COVID-19 crisis. And the Mayor Henry would like to also have a moment of silence. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. Council residents, tonight I'd like to mention 3 names. The first one is the Honorable Mayor Paul Smith of Union Beach, who passed away suddenly last week. Mayor Smith showed great leadership during Hurricane Sandy. When I first got elected, he was always at the meetings, and Mayor Smith made everyone around him a better person. So I would ask that everyone keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers. My second person I would like to mention is Mrs. Lena Coble, who passed away this past week also. Lena is the mother of a very close and personal friend of myself, and also Lena is the mother of Lita, who performs at all of our township events, who has that great operatic voice. So please, again, if everyone could keep her and the Coble family in your thoughts and prayers. And third, I have Mrs. Marion Costanza, also a very close personal friend. Marion was an honest, loyal, and she was, as they like to say, a very tough customer. She raised and educated 3 very intelligent children. Her and her husband insisted on education. Her son is a doctor. Her daughter, Liz, is a nurse practitioner. And her other daughter, Carol, is a nurse working in one of the hardest hit hospitals right now in the state of New Jersey. So Mrs. Costanza did very well in raising her children. They're all out on the front line. And it's very difficult, as everyone knows, these times. Families and friends are not permitted to celebrate lives as we normally do, as we did in the past. So please keep them all in your thoughts and prayers, and a special prayer to all the mothers who will not be with us next week for Mother's Day. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. A moment of silence, please. Our prayer, Mr. Pasquini.
Dear Lord, bless your servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve you in Old Bridge. Thank you for your protection and blessing on our family and friends during this unprecedented time in our country. We pray for those family members and friends who have lost lives to the virus. We also pray for our first responders, police, fire, EMS, nurses, doctors, support staff, and government officials here in Old Bridge as well, our mayor, our governor, president, and their cabinet and staff. We ask for your wisdom so we can properly govern the local affairs of the town and pray that our residents will remain safe and take proper precautions to eliminate the spread. Give us the strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant us peace with thee and in one another. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated.
Mrs. Brown,
Here.
thank you. Mr. De Palma,
Here.
Dr. Greenberg,
Here.
Mr. Merwin.
Present.
Mr. Merwin,
Present.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Pescetti,
Yes, here.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Here.
Mrs. Walker,
Here.
President Soha.
Here.
Okay, did Mr. Murphy get back on or no?
Yes.
No? Yes? Okay, I can't hear you, John.
Did you
Okay,
get me?
nine present. 9 present. Okay. Madam President, please take a motion to amend the agenda due to the circumstances. We're gonna have 2 regular sessions for the public to speak, but please limit the sessions from 5 minutes to 3 minutes.
Okay, I
Okay.
would like,
We need a motion for
all
that.
right, would someone give me
Move
a
it.
Second,
move by
All right.
Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Pescetti?
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Murphy? No. Okay, 8 yes.
Will be approved.
yes.
You heard
Okay, 9 yes.
9 yes. Okay, thank you, Stella. Next will be
Thank you.
approval of minutes, reorganization meeting, January 1st, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
All right. Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes,
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Next will be combined meeting, February 10th, 2020. I have a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Next will be the bill listing, Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, May 4th, 2020, $5,926,673.64.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes,
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, April 24th, 2020, $879,595.36. Move it.
Have a motion, moved by
Second.
Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, April 24th, 2020, $25,620.54.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Move it. Second.
Moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. Rizzoli. May we have a breakdown, Mr. Shaw?
Thank you, Council President. The payroll, as Councilwoman Walker indicated, overtime was $25,620.54. There was no real uptick in any other department. For the police department, the total overtime was $11,235.96. Deduct for ETO, $3,202.44. Deduct for pandemic overtime, $3,373.42. The net overtime, regular overtime was $4,660.10, representing 288.50 man and women hours. Obviously, special events is pandemic ongoing. There was no injury on duty. There were 3 officers quarantined during this pay period.
Move it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shaw.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
That concludes the bill list.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Walker. We do not have any public hearing and ordinances for second reading this evening. So we will go on to preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person will address the Township Council on any subject matters for a maximum period of 3 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak, naturally, we don't have the sign-up sheet tonight. Comments during the public preliminary comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading, ordinances, or any other matter for which comment or a public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Okay, I'd like to make an announcement. If you are dialing in on your phone, press 9 and the pound sign to raise your hand to speak. We will see it and you will be called on. Just be patient because there is a bit of a delay. If you are using the Zoom computer application on your smartphone, please use the hand button. And again, please be patient because there is a delay on the system. We will get to you. And please state your name and address for the record. Please spell your last name for us. Okay, thank you.
Stella is *9 to press. On the phone, it's *9.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, on the phone, I stand corrected. On the phone, it's *9 if you're calling in, please.
Council President,
Yes.
the one thing I would say is up on the screen right now is not the ID. The Zoom meeting ID is not up there that I don't see. And in order for the folks to call in, they need that that meeting ID number as well as the phone number.
Okay, Mr. Shaw?
Okay.
Mr. Shaw is muted. I can't.
Yeah, no, I will ask the MIS to publish
Okay.
our meeting ID and all the information were published in the paper as well as on our Facebook page. It's not it's not in this screen, but it was published on our Facebook page as well as on our website and all our social media things. So I believe that things, in fact, we do have a 2 attendee currently on the phone. So I believe that they have, you know, they have the information. Public has all the information needed. Stella, am I correct? Publication
I'm
was,
looking, Hamacha. Yes,
okay.
yes, we do have one. I don't have a hand, so I don't know if I can clue her in. I have Nina. Can you hear me? Nina? There's no hand. They're not raising their hands. Nothing for us to click on. Okay, let me try. All right, let me try 3592. Okay, 3592. Welcome to the Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Can you hear me?
Stella?
Yes.
Hi. Okay, first of all, the last meeting you folks had did
Okay,
not
could we have
have,
your name for the excuse me, can we have your
Oh.
name for the record, please?
oh, Stella already gave it, Nina Joknowitz, West Greystone Road, neighbor to the lady who
That's all right.
passed
We
away
don't, we
3
don't
days
need,
ago.
we don't need that. All right, go ahead.
Okay, well, you guys announced that she passed away. Owen announced that, you know, Chris's mom had died, so I figured I would, you know,
Oh, okay.
recapitulate that. That's first. But no, more importantly, the last meeting, nobody was able to call, and I'm sure you guys noticed that. But more importantly than that, we're trying to find out if there's going to be a zoning meeting this week, because we've been told there was a zoning meeting, and then we were told there's no zoning meeting. And there's 27 families who are extremely upset about the possibility of some zoning variances going through on a property on Old Matawan Road. I've spoken about it several times to you folks, and we have no answer from you. So I'd like to know what's going on. Is there a zoning meeting this week? Can you announce it? And are we actually going to be able to call in? We have a lawyer assigned that we will bring into the meeting if we know that there's going to be a meeting. Does anybody know if there's going to be, Hamacho, I've actually called your office 3 times. What?
I don't think we can talk at this point.
John, just wait now. This is the public portion. Let her speak. And
I'm
then
asking a question. Can one of you folks answer the question? Hamacho, I've called into your office, spoken to Rosemary. I've called to the zoning and the planning department. They don't know. Your office doesn't seem to know. Do you know if there's a zoning meeting this week?
there is a zoning meeting that's been published. I will ask our zoning planner to make an announcement. We'll unmute. Rena, can you respond, please?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so when are we going to get the information? Because we've been asking for this information. I've been calling up for a week.
Are
And
you
we-
let
you know,
Rena
this
answer
is
that?
really-
Respond.
So
I'm sorry to say this, but how are we going to be guaranteed that we're going to get the time for the 27 families that are, disturbed about the opportunity, the possibility that you're going to push through something which nobody wants in the community on Old Matawan Road? How are we going to be guaranteed to have that speak? Why are you having that meeting now? Is it because somebody on the council is friends with the English family? Is that why?
Are we allowed to
Wait,
answer
John.
anymore? I thought we couldn't answer the people
John.
during this session.
John, this is the public portion. Let Mrs. Jachnowitz ask her questions. And Himanshu has said that Vina will speak to this subject. So
If
let-
she allows Rena to speak.
Thursday night.
Okay, Rena, go ahead.
Yeah,
good evening. Good evening. The meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, May 7th at 7:30. The legal notice to all the residents within 200 feet of the subject property was published, and the notices was sent out 10 days prior. So every resident who is within 200 feet will be receiving that notice. At the time of the
After the
meeting,
event. Unfortunately, not
Can
not
I
a single
finish?
person has received the notification.
Ma'am, can I
I
finish?
had heard,
All right. Mrs. Jacqueline, can she just finish and then you can ask your question?
of course,
All
of
right.
course, of course. I'm sorry.
No, that's.
All the information related to the meeting will also be put up on our website the day before. Also, when we are in the meeting, when it's live, on numerous occasions, the screen will show the meeting ID and password. But I know for the fact that the notices were sent out. So if you are within 200 feet of the subject property, you should be receiving a notice. The notice has details on what numbers to call in, what your meeting ID is, the password is. So you will have an opportunity to speak.
Let me just add one thing
So
that we'll
I
make
can-
sure that our Facebook page, our Twitter, all our social media and our website continues to post the information on a meeting.
What site is going to post it? Which one of the 7 sites of Old Bridge?
There is only one.
And why don't
Okay,
you?
let me repeat, Nina. You keep coming up with a different way of flavor, but the reality is that oldbridge.com is our website. OB-Town is our Facebook page. Both gets posted. Everybody reads that. This meeting was posted. What you came on board, you must have received that information from one of those sites. Same location.
Actually, from
All the
council
information
person.
will be posted.
If I could, Madam President,
Please, Mr. Roselli.
to answer the caller's question, the information relative to the meeting is on the website. So you just go to the zoning board. Actually, if you go on the site now, the application, the site plan, and all the application information is actually posted on the website currently. And it shows that the zoning board meeting has 2 agenda items. But that's where the documents in connection with the application are posted on the township's website. What Amanti was talking about is the notice about the public meetings and when they are. But as far as the review the application, review the information connected with the application, go to the township website, go to the zoning board drop down, and you'll see it has the zoning board, and then it has the application, and it has all the related information for the application.
Am I still using my hand?
All right.
And then as far as the meeting, the question of, first of all, this meeting isn't being held because someone's friends with the Englishes, which is, when those statements are just so infuriating, it's not even funny. Secondly, if you would even know, is that the town's already issued multiple violations against the property owners for other things situated with it. So it has nothing to do with anybody knowing the Englishes or not knowing the Englishes. By law, the township is required and has to have these hearings. It's been clear from the state that the guidance issued by the Department of Community Affairs is that the towns can't stop having meetings. They have to proceed in the normal course to the best that they can. And I can assure you that this township has been in the forefront of having these meetings, virtual meetings, before anybody. I represent 2 other towns. I know multiple township attorneys. I know multiple board attorneys. And the work that Vina has done in conjunction with the rest of the staff, I can assure you that Old Bridge is in the forefront of having virtual meetings, having it set up virtually, having information done, having a whole 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks ago, Vina came up with a process to have these virtual meetings before anybody was thinking of it. So the reason why these meetings are being held is because we're required by law to have them held. And the information's there, and it's going to be held just like any other meeting. The public will have their opportunity to comment. To the extent that additional time is going to be required, just like any other meeting, the meeting can be continued if it's necessary, but that all gets done at the zoning board meeting. This council is not it's not proper for this council to opine on any application in front of whether it's this board or the planning board, because there's plenty of case law that's out there that states that elected officials are not, it's not proper for elected officials to comment on pending applications, because it can be seen as trying to sway the board one way or the other. And I'm sure neither the applicant nor any objectors would want that to be a basis for an approval to occur or not occur. So what's happening is required by law. The process is being followed. And as I said, Old Bridge has been in the forefront about these virtual meetings, and everyone will have the opportunity, just like a regular meeting, to provide comment. Being, if you want to add anything, certainly feel free.
Thank you, Mark. That's absolutely accurate. There's no way, we don't serve because somebody's friends or anything.
Okay. Do we have any other comment from you, Mrs. Jacknowitz?
She's no longer on the line. She hung up when Mark was speaking.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. Stella, is there anyone else waiting to speak?
Yeah. Yes, I have somebody else, but I don't have a hand. So Moto Z3, if you'd like to talk, please raise your hand. Moto Z3.
Can you reiterate, Stella, how to do it?
Yes, *9.
Okay, you just unmute him.
If you're still there, please press *9 and you're next. Okay. Okay, he's gone. Roxana, *9. Roxana, if you still would like to speak.
That's not me.
No, there's no more hands raised. I see a name, but there's no more hands raised.
They called in, they must want to speak.
Roxana, are you still on?
She's on, Stella, she's on mute. Can someone see if they could unmute her, please? If she can't do it herself?
Yeah, I tried to unmute and I can't.
I believe they have not raised hands. Only raised hand is John Murphy.
If you raise my hands, I can
None of
unmute.
the attendee has raised hand. So they both have not requested to speak. John Murphy would like to speak, so
I'll speak on my time.
Yeah, we'll have council comments very shortly, John. There is no other way to reach out to these individuals, correct?
No, if they want to, they'll raise hand. So we can, I think that we have completed this public portion, I believe. Am I correct, Mark?
Yes, there's no more left.
No other speakers.
No raised hands.
Requesting, correct.
Okay, so then we waited the allotted time to make a motion. Yes, Mr. Merlin?
Yeah, this was a complaint that I got during the week, is that they were having problems calling in. So, I mean, I would try to bend over backwards to see.
That's why
They were saying they were having a hard time. I believe both of the ones that we just had were on the phone, right?
Still
But through Zoom? Were they through Zoom or?
I would believe they were through Zoom, correct, Stella?
Yes, well, they were there, but evidently they didn't press *9. If they don't press *9, we don't see a hand. If we can't click on the hand, they can't speak.
And we can't unmute them.
Yeah, no, if there's no hand, we can't unmute. And it clearly states on the directions right on the bottom, please press *9 on your phone to raise your hand.
Do you have to hit the 1?
That's what it says up there. The numbers are up there.
We have 2 attendees. They're an attendee. They have not requested to speak.
But I'm,
Now we have a one attendee requested to speak. The last four digits is 1630.
I have it.
Put the number back up.
All right. Excuse me, I have one hand raised now. The
okay,
last four digits of the phone are 1630. Okay,
mhm.
1630. Would you state your name, please? And your
Yes,
address?
my name is Anthony Ciamillo. I'm on Red Pine Loop in Old Bridge, and I'm
Anthony,
in
can
Ward
you
5.
spell your last name, please?
Ciamillo.
Anthony,
Yes,
thank you. Okay, well, welcome.
thank you. I know I have 3 minutes.
Okay.
I'll make it quick. Just a question, and I could be wrong on this, but I understand Murphy has closed the schools to the end of the year. And I know how the school budget is. And for the whole year, I understand that the 3 months in the summertime that the teachers are on unemployment. But for 3 months out of the school year now, the schools have been closed. And I don't understand why. I don't know if they're on unemployment or the teachers are not, but I'm a union man. I know under the CBA, when there's an emergency, that the federal law supersedes the CBA. So these teachers should be on unemployment since there's no work for them. And since 2/3 of our property tax is school, why aren't we credited somehow on our property tax for this school year? And the second thing is, I read about the Cheesequake School being rented. And if I'm incorrect, you can let me know, but I understood it was being leased to the Sayreville school system for a good amount of money. And I don't understand why that didn't drop our school budget also, because they're making up for what we lost from when the governor took the grant back and our property taxes went up. And the last thing I have to say is, I'm on the crossroads of Oakwoods Parkway. I know that the township doesn't know that this street exists, but if it's possible, maybe somebody can come down and see it, because it's not up to code. It needs to be paved. And I know that there's that Avalon building is now connected to the street, and it's whatever they could do to bring it up to code, lines, paving, sidewalks, anything you could do. Those are my questions. Now, if you have any answers, that'd be great.
Okay, well, thank you. Mr. Shaw, would you like to speak to this?
I don't know if I can fully satisfy his request on school, but it's really an appropriate question to ask at the school board meeting. They are also scheduling meeting. The only thing I can speak is that while school is teachers are still working, because under the state law, the children has to make 180 days. So there is a remote learning going on school. That I can tell you. In terms of the request information about the Cheesequake building rental, yes, school board should be the appropriate authority to answer question. They are independent. They are independent from us. They are elected. Board members are elected by the voters of the town, just like the council member, and they make a decision on school budget. We do not make a decision on school budget. So my recommendation is that you attend the school meeting. I believe they're also doing virtual meetings, just like ours, and they can certainly provide you the answer. And in reference to your request for the street, I will alert our engineer. She's online right now. She's listening. She'll make a note, and I will request her to visit the road and see what improvements that we need to do or provide the information. If you would like to call, certainly you can call us. Our offices are open while it's closed to the public. The staffs are working in the office within a social distancing plan with an alternate schedule. They'll be available to answer your call. So please call during the daytime. But I will ask the engineer to visit the road and provide us information on the necessary upgrades on the road. Thank you.
Mr. Shah, I appreciate your response. I brought it to the council only because I know you're working in the best interest of us taxpayers. And I understand it is a board question, but I believe that the homeowners should understand also, and this is the way to get through to them, that, it is a good question. And I don't think every teacher is working doing video. So it's just, I will go to the meeting if I know when that is. And, anything to reduce our taxes.
The meeting are published just like the council meetings are published. If you call my office tomorrow, 732-721-5600, extension 2040, I will try to get you the information on the meeting dates, at the Board of Education meeting dates.
Thank you, Mr. Shah and Town Council. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you. Okay. All right. We have another caller, 3734. Welcome to the council meeting.
Yes, hi, Alicia Rahacek calling in, just testing the system. Thank you very much for moving to online Zoom system.
I'm sorry, can we have your name again?
Yes, Rahacek, Rahacek.
Thank you.
Okay, the system is working. It just takes a little while to type in all of the numbers that are required for the phone service. So maybe if you guys leave up the information a little bit longer, and yes, I'm using two forms of media to be able to acquire the data to punch in. So we do have to give the citizens of the township a little bit of a chance to work with this technology. I missed the earlier part of the meeting, but I was going to call in concerning the Old Matawan Road project, and I've only now just managed to look over some of the site plans. So obviously they are not raising the building, but they are going to be building it, redoing this into a facility, a type of short-term care or long-term care facility. I just wanted to mention about that the history, the building itself, beyond who owns it presently or whatnot, the history of the building itself is what I wanted to talk about. And just to remind our council people and long-term residents that this was the first modern school in our school district, besides Lawrence Harbor. But in this area, it does hold a lot of history, and it would be sad to see it turned or reappropriated into a use that would not be comparable for the community itself. It was the Willis School, was established in the early 1900s, and that's all I wanted to say. I hope that we can preserve the building, and the use does facilitate helping the community at large. Okay, that's it. And you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Alicia.
Okay.
You have a great
All right,
night.
I have another, thank you, you too. We have another caller. I only have a first name of Nina.
Oh, Stella, I didn't know I
Okay,
got
Nina,
on
can you
again.
hear
That's kind
me?
of funny. Okay, first of all, the use of that building is.
Nina, you can, Nina, hold it a moment. You can only speak once during this portion. There's a second portion at the end. You can speak again. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
sorry.
Thank you.
It's okay. Number 42, 42. You have to press *9 if you'd like to speak. Okay, 4242, would you like to speak, please? Thank you. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Stella. Thank you. This is Richard Pucciarelli. I live in Ward 1.
Hi, Rich, how are you?
Hi, Stella. Hi, everyone. I'm calling in to show that the system works, and I was able to call in and speak. Also, the people who, there was, someone who was talking about the old Matawan Road and how that's been hidden. I saw it in a public notice in the Home News Tribune with the dial-in and the information. So I don't see how people are saying it's being hidden. That proposal on the zoning board is being hidden. I saw the public notice and I wasn't really even looking for it. It's there. The information is out there on how you can call in and how the meeting has been posted. I know Alicia just spoke to about the historic nature of that building. I won't go into that. But, and the other thing I wanted to speak to, I know I had the council on tonight, you're doing some work on the council chambers, and I did send a note. Hopefully the Historic Society suggestion will be incorporated into that this evening. But thank you for all the work you guys do. You're doing a great job, and you're doing a great job under the circumstance with the mayor and everyone for the town's benefit. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for calling in.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we have no other callers at this time, Madam President.
Okay, should we wait a minute and proceed? You make a motion, someone made a motion to close?
Yes, I do.
Second.
So Mr. Merwin made a motion to close the public portion and Mr. Murphy seconded the motion.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes, thank you.
Next will be council member comments.
Okay. Madam President, if I may, I'd like to call the names. You usually go from left to right. So tonight I'll call the names. We'll start alphabetically this time, and then the following council comments we'll do backwards to give everybody a fair share from left to right. Is that okay with you?
That's fine with me. Thank you, Thank you, Stella.
Thank you. Okay. Mrs. Brown, council comments?
None at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. De Palma?
Yes. So I just wanted to quickly start the gentleman that called about the school board meeting. So I looked it up quick. There is actually an adoption of a budget meeting tomorrow. I believe it's at 7 o'clock. And then there is another agenda meeting on May 12th at 7:30. If you go to oldbridgeadmin.com, you'll see all of the information on there. So anyone who has questions for our school board, please just go out there and then they can answer your questions. Quickly, I just wanted to, just remind everyone that May is Military Appreciation Month. So just wanted to thank all those that are currently serving and those that have served to protect our freedom. So just keep that in mind through the month of May. If you see someone in uniform, please thank them. Don't shake their hand with social distancing, but thank them from afar. Also, I wanted to bring up, so I have gotten a couple of phone calls about a couple of topics kind of intertwined. Residents have been complaining about people going into apartment complexes and other areas that have common areas and common dumpsters, and they're starting to do dumping there. illegal dumping in essence to their dumpsters. So I would like to see if we can actually get the recycling center open. So a lot of the thought process around it was these folks are saying there's televisions and the things that typically would get picked up. So I know, one of the things I wanted to see if we could have that recycling center back open, just for the things that we do not necessarily put out on a normal recycling day. So not for cardboard and paper and plastics and glass and things along those lines. We're really looking at it for, folks right now, and I am definitely one of those, starting to clean out garages and attics and all of that. So folks that have televisions, motor oil, old mattresses, concrete pavers and concrete things like that, if we could actually get the recycling center to open up, at least on an interim basis, if not full-time, part-time. So Mr. Shaw, I was wondering if you could speak to that?
Yes, thank you. Council President, if I may respond to that. Mayor, myself, Kyle Harris, our Public Works Director, has already discussed the idea. If you recall, we spoke about it when we looked at the recycling contract with MCIA and the cost dramatically increasing, and we had to make adjustment in this budget to incorporate that high cost. At the time, we had learned that we are paying, we have a residence that they're putting those material out, the cardboard, the plastic, cans, and etc. They can put outside of their house, but a lot of them bring it to the town hall. Well, by doing that, we were paying twice for the same material because our contract is per household for collection for that material, not based on the volume. And so we need to discontinue offering that collection at the recycling yard. But certainly we are getting ready to open up for all other services except the bulk pickup. We do not do bulk pickup. So heavy furniture items are not being handled by that. Homeowners contract with their garbage hauler to do that. But we will handle the television. In fact, that announcement is already out there that Public Works will be collecting those from the homeowners. And then we'll open up, we're working on schedule, opening up on a limited basis for all other material, the mattress, the other concrete, and etc. We will not be able to use cooking oil because that's a county program and they're still closed. So we will not be able to accept those, anything that is a county program. But we'll be coming out this week with an announcement of opening up our recycling center. So thank you, Councilman, for bringing that up.
Thank you. Thank you, Himanshu. The other thing I just wanted to bring up, so to all the mothers on the phone, the mothers that are listening, my wife, my mom, my mother-in-law, happy Mother's Day. I know it's coming up. It's going to be a weird Mother's Day, just like it was a weird Easter with not being able to be with everyone. So just happy Mother's Day. I hope everyone enjoys it with the family that you're with. And hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll all get back to being able to congregate in a limited fashion.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Greenberg?
Basically, I just want to wish everyone well, continue to be safe, use good judgment. And I want to thank the first responders and really everyone in the medical field that's working so hard combating this virus. Really, it's unprecedented time. And to imagine that we're faced with this in 2020, it's certainly something that we could never imagine. And we're just trying to stay strong, move along, and look forward to more positive times. And hopefully with the longer days and, nicer weather, that will happen and we can get back to a more normal life. Thank you.
Mr. Merwin?
Yeah, I too would like to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day, and I really will reserve my comments for later. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy?
Okay, this may be a little lengthy. First of all, after listening to Nina, I wasn't too sure what she was talking about. I actually went out and talked to all the people that I could on Old Amboy Road months before she even knew about it, just to explain to him what the township was looking into doing. And I had that from the township. And then I had a letter written up that I was going to meet with them, and we were going to explain that this is what they want to do. If you want to give any comments, you can, but I'm not on either side. So I don't know what she was talking about, and I did find it somewhere that it was done. Now, of course, we couldn't have a meeting. It was the same night all of that stuff started with the coronavirus, so we had to cancel it from then. And only 3 people shown up, but I guess they realized it. And I know who owned the building in the past. I've never heard of anybody trying to blame a family for it, and that was a little bit ridiculous. Okay, now a couple people had called me from Birch Street, and I've always thought it was Birch Street Assisted Living, but that's not what it is, I found out. I want to just bring up, their phones don't work inside because they have concrete walls. So they asked me if I could call up for them. What they had is not allowed visitors, which I explained to them, that's up to the nursing home. They pretty much have control of that. He said, but he's telling me that they were approving it and everything. So I guess similar to the one on Ticetown Road it's not an assisted living. It's really just low income housing. So he wanted to know, why couldn't he just be like Glenwood or any other place that has Section 8 or this? I said, because they don't want to bring people into there that aren't supposed to be there. But then he brought up a good point. He said, why are they letting people move in now? These are strangers moving in. And I kind of agree with him there, that if they're not gonna, he's having heart surgery next week, and they're not even gonna let his brother visit him. But why can they have new people sign up and they're still coming in today? And he wants to know why that's like that. I always thought they were assisted living, but he said, no, the township sponsored them, and that's where I didn't know this either. I wonder if you're gonna help me with any of this. They had, you had your council meetings at their building years ago. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I don't know how long ago we was taking care of it. But he's telling me, he goes, when you go there, they ask you if you're able to take care of yourself, if you're this, if you're that. That's why it's not an assisted living. They say you have to be able to take care of yourself. It's not a HUD. It's not a nursing home because they don't have any doctors. But I told them those places run their own and control their own. So they say they're just basically an affordable housing. Used to have, and they can't have visitors at this time, which I understand because they don't want to bring anything in. And that's when he told me, but how come these other people can get apartments? If any of you, I spoke to like 2 or 3 people today from there. I spoke to 2 other people to get any information. And the only thing I find that's really bad, and they're not getting anything fixed either, like washers, dryers. And I told them, I spoke to them, and they will be fixed on emergency only. So he was pretty clear with all that stuff. And I just wanted to bring that up. I wanted to find out, why are we letting places where there are older people, it's 55 and older, move in? I just don't understand that. And that's all I have to say. I just want to thank all of the people, first responders, people's working in the stores, everybody. And I want all the mothers to have a nice Mother's Day. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Pescetti?
Yes, I just also want to thank, all the first responders and all the workers and township employees doing a great job. Wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day, and happy birthday to my wife. On Thursday, she hit 60, big 60. So big day. Thank you.
Oh.
That's it.
Happy birthday.
Okay. Happy birthday. Okay, Mr. Rizzoli?
Thank you, Stella. On Saturday, we had a fundraiser for our local food bank and also for the Keyport Food Bank, which was sponsored by Old Glory and Keyport. I just want to thank everybody who participated, council members who came and attended. We were able to drop off a nice donation of food to our Old Bridge Food Pantry. I just want to encourage people to continue to donate to our food pantry as this lockdown continues and our economy is collapsing and more people are added to the unemployment. We've had people reaching out. We put them in contact with our food pantry and they're really assisting. But as we know right now, so many people are unemployed, it's putting a strain on it. So please keep the donations going. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone. We had a great event. Also, I just want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mrs. Walker?
Yeah, I just want to wish all the mothers a very happy Mother's Day, and I just want everyone to stay safe.
Thank you. And President Sovar?
Yes, I too would like to say thank you naturally to everyone in town, and Old Bridge always exceeds even the highest expectations. The generosity in this town is just amazing. There are so many people that have made donations to the food bank, so many developments. People in Lake Ridge, Ray Marino, thank you, Ray. You put it out on your Facebook page and it was an amazing turnout for the food bank. So that, Mark, thank you for the fundraiser also. I think we're here in town, the businesses want to help the people. I think we're just a very great community. Thank you, everyone. Okay, next will be the report.
Okay, we're done.
Okay, thank you, Stella. And next will be the report of the clerk.
Okay, I really don't have a full report, only that the cat license were sent out the end of the week on Friday. And that's really about it.
Okay. Stella, do we have a motion to accept that?
Motion.
Yeah, there's really nothing to accept.
Okay.
You want a motion? Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Next will be the report of the attorney.
Nothing to report, Madam President.
Thank you. Next will be administrative report, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Administrative report for May 4th, 2020. Item number 1, Mayor's proclamation for Older American Month. Mayor Owen Henry proclaimed the month of May to be Older American Month. The township is stronger when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are included and encouraged to make their mark. Older adults should be engaged through education, recreation, and services and connected to the people with opportunities to share their time, experience, and talents. We are promoting the independence, inclusion, and participation of all older individuals. We urge every resident to recognize older adults and the people who support them as essential member of our community. Item number 2, second quarter tax payment. In accordance with the Governor Murphy's executive order number 130, administration is recommending resolution on tonight's consent agenda to extend the grace period for May 2020 tax quarter to June 1st, 2020. Payments received after June 1st, 2020 will accrue interest back to May 1st, 2020. Payment for taxes will be accepted online through the township website through automatic withdrawal, by mailing a check or money order to the township lockbox, or by leaving a check or money order in the drop box located near the main door of Thomas J. English Administration Building. For additional information, residents should go to www.oldbridge.com or contact Division of Tax Collection at extension 2999. Item number 3, Cottrell Farm Park Building Rehabilitation Phase 1. Bids were received and opened virtually on April 15th. 2 contractors submitted bids that range from $1,263,000 to $2,089,963 for Cottrell Farm Building Rehab Phase 1. That included rehab of both interior and exterior of the farmhouse and the exterior of barn, CMU garage, and stone garage. The lowest bidder was HNS Construction and Mechanical Inc. at $1,263,000. Township consultant EI Associate has recommended the award of this contract to HNS Construction and Mechanical Inc., included on tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. This project is funded through township capital bonds. Item number 4, 2019 annual drainage improvements. Bids were received and opened virtually on April 24 for 2019 annual drainage improvement contract number 2020-34. 15 contractors submitted bids that range from $496,915 to $1,143,341. The engineering estimate was $487,059.24. Brennan Brothers was the lowest bidder at $496,915. The project will provide drainage improvement to the following roads: Creighton Circle, Ward 5, Glen Avenue, Ward 5, Grenoble Court, Ward 1, Jake Brown Road, Ward 3, Judy Court, Ward 5, La Valencia Road, Ward 5, Marlborough Road, Ward 5, Mercer Road, Ward 6, Michael Court, Ward 5, Morganville Road, Ward 2, Morris Drive, Ward 2, Redden Boulevard, Ward 1, Samantha Circle, Ward 2, Sherwood Lane, Ward 5, Tunica Lane Court, Ward 5, Utah Drive, Ward 1, and Wesley Road, Ward 2. Awards of the contract has been included on tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. Construction is anticipated to begin in early summer of 2020. The project is funded to township capital bonds. Item number 5, CDBG 2019 Annual Action Plan Substantial Amendment. The 2019 Annual Action Plan was approved for $268,609 in CDBG funds and $19,075 in recapture funds. A substantial amendment is required by HERT for 2019 Annual Action Plan to include the additional of $159,664 in community development block grant CV funds awarded through 2020 Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act and Public Law 116-136 to prepare for, and respond to coronavirus. It is in addition to these funds and creation of new activity that constitutes substantial amendment as outlined in Township Citizen Participation Plan. The substantial amendment will be on public display beginning May 11 on the Township website. A virtual public hearing on the grant amendment will be held on May 18 at 2 p.m. Instruction on how to access the virtual meeting along with the substantial amendment will be posted on the Township website at oldbridge.com/projects. Item number 6, reopening of Veterans Guyk and Menino Parks. On May 2nd, Township partially reopened Veterans Guyk and Menino Park for passive recreation only. The parks will be open daily from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is a trial run and all rules and regulation will be enforced. Visitors are permitted to walk and jog. Dogs on a non-retractable leash are allowed. Visitors are not permitted to engage in organized sports or gather on the lawn. Playground equipment, restroom, and any indoor facility will remain closed. Wearing a mask and maintaining 6 foot from others is required. Item number 7, Department of Public Works. Round 2 spring leaf pickup begins today in all wards. Leaf bags should have been placed at the curbs yesterday and should be kept out all week. For additional information, residents should call extension 6140 or email publicworks@oldbridge.com. Please note that recycling center as well as all township buildings are closed until further notice. As earlier we discussed, we're working on reopening recycling center for certain items. The Department of Public Works is still picking up appliances, brush, and leaves. Please visit the website for more information on oldbridge.com/recycling. On May 11, the Public Works Department will conduct one-time only pickup of the TVs and computer by appointment only. Residents who wants an appointment should call or email before May 8. The phone number is 721-5600, extension 6107. And the email is recycling@oldbridge.com. Item number 8, Memorial Day holiday. On May 25th, all municipal offices will be closed for business in observance of Memorial Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Does
Council
any?
President, Council
Yes.
President, it's Mayor.
Yep.
I'd like to conclude the administrative report with reading an official proclamation.
Okay.
Mr. Shaw had touched on in item 1. I'd like to read the official proclamation. Whereas the Township of Old Bridge includes a growing number of older Americans who make countless contributions to our community every day. The Township of Old Bridge, now more than ever, is dedicated to supporting its older adult community during times of crisis and need. The Township of Old Bridge is stronger when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are included and encouraged to make their mark. The Township of Old Bridge recognizes the importance of physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being of its citizens. Whereas the Township of Old Bridge can support our community members by promoting independence and inclusion, participation, engaging older adults to education, recreation, and service, connecting people with opportunities to share their time, experience, and talents. Now therefore, I, Owen Henry, Mayor of the Township of Old Bridge, do hereby proclaim May 2020 as Older Americans Month. I urge every resident to recognize older adults and the people who support them as essential members of our community. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
If anyone has any questions for the mayor also, now would be the time.
Okay, anyone from the council have any questions about either Mr. Shaw's report or anything for the mayor?
Council President?
Yes, Mr. Pescitti.
Yeah, for Mr. Shaw, on the 2019 annual drainage improvements, I want to thank you on behalf of Ward 5 residents. However, could you tell me how it was selected, how these areas for drainage improvements were selected around town? Because it seems like there's a lot of Ward 5 in there, and I know we have a lot of drainage problems in Ward 1 and 6. So do you know how these were picked?
Yes, let me ask Nicole to provide you information. I think there was a report filed with the council of 5 years road drainage and paving projects list. And I think we're going through that list that was provided to the council, but I'll let Nicole give you more explanation.
Okay, so it's a 5-year list.
Hold on.
Councilman Pescetti, this is Nicole Shapiro. Just so you know, a lot of our drainage complaints are driven by, one, by maintenance of our DPW when they're called out to a site numerous times and there's something that they cannot solve on their own. They ask the help of the engineering department to come up with some structural solution to a problem. You'll notice that it is correct. Ward 1, 5, and 6 do receive a lot of drainage improvements. This year, if it was light in one ward, it was because there were others that were pressing. Usually in Ward 2, 3, and 4, you have a lot of newer developments or a lot of developments that are curbed where the drainage actually runs along the curb line and it's actually channelized to structures. So you wouldn't have as many drainage complaints coming out of those development. In Ward 2 and 4, those developments tend to be newer. So it's driven by our residents coming to the engineering department and telling us about complaints. It's driven by our Department of Public Works. Kyle Harris and I work very closely together on any complaints that come into town. And if, I see that he's out there numerous times, for example, Madison and Darwin, out there probably about 6 to 7 times last year alone to try and clear up some of the issues that they were having out there, then it drives to a more capital improvement project and then getting on our list. So it is, Mr. Shaw is correct. We did have a capital improvement program where Kyle and I had driven the streets in 2017 just to see if there were improvements that we could make. We were focusing on roadway improvements, but while we were out there, we noticed curbing improvements, which affects our drainage. Once the curbing is deteriorated, it does affect flow. So we did mark that, and wherever we noticed drainage improvements were required, we noted that as well. That 5-year plan was presented in front of council and voted upon in 2017.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that report. So I'd like to move the report.
All right, before that, Mr. Pischetti, is there anyone else that has any questions for Mr. Shaw or for the mayor at this time? Okay, seeing no hands, then yes, we'll go with Mr. Pischetti's motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. De Palma.
Okay. Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg, Dr. Greenberg,
She has no audio. I don't hear her.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
Okay. I can't seem to unmute Mrs. Greenberg.
Anita, hit your space bar.
No.
It'll unmute.
Okay. All right, 8 yes.
All right. Next will be our consent agenda. I will first need a motion and a second, and then Mrs. Ward will ask each council member for a separation if there are any.
Move
Okay.
it.
Moved by
Second.
Pescetti, second by Mr. Rizzoli. And now, Mrs. Ward, could you ask for separations, please?
Sure. Okay, I'm gonna do it in reverse. President Sohar, do you have any separations? We'll do it in reverse.
I'm going to separate C12, please.
Stella, I was a yes before something happened. with my-
Mrs. Walker,
I don't have any separations.
okay. Mr. Rizzoli,
No separation, Stella. Thank you.
Mr. Pescetti,
No separation, Stella. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Murphy,
No separations. Thank you, Stella.
okay. Mr. Merwin,
C9.
9. Dr. Greenberg, I don't know if you can hear
Yes,
me.
I
Dr.
can hear
Greenberg?
you. Separations, and I'm a yes for before something happened with my computer.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm making the correction for before. It was 9 yes for the administration report. Thank you. And no separations. Okay. Mr. De Palma,
C2 and C8, please.
thank you. And Mrs. Brown, any separations?
None. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, Madam President, you want to move the rest? The
Yes.
balance, all except C2, C8, C9, and C12, everything except that. Okay. Mary, I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, we can do the balance now, Stella. We had a motion second, correct? For the
I
balance?
move the balance.
Okay, I don't have a motion for the balance.
I'll move it.
Okay, Eric moved it and Mr. De Palma moved it, Mr. Murphy seconded.
Thank you. Okay. Mrs. Brown? Mrs. Brown?
I think her
I
computer
don't know if
froze.
you can hear me. I can't.
Why is everybody?
Excuse me?
Her video froze.
Okay,
Okay. All right, Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
She's back.
all right.
Hi. Sorry.
Mrs. Brown?
Yeah, sorry. My computer's like my internet's really
Mrs.
bad.
Hood- Okay.
Hello?
All right, this is Ms. Adina, this is a vote for the balance on the consent agenda. Everything
Yeah.
except the ones that were separated. Yes?
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
And Eric, Mr. De Palma, you said yes.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
on the balance?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy on the balance?
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti,
Yes, on the balance.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Sohar.
Yes.
9 on the balance. Next, first one is C2,
Yes, Mr. De Palma?
So,
and that was Mr. De Palma.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw, I just wanted, this is part of the first phase of the Cottrell project, right? The park project that we're initiating?
Yes,
Okay.
this will cover the building itself, renovating the building.
Is this the additional expenses because it came back as a historic building that we had to go in and we had to rehab it?
Let Nicole, can you answer that question? I don't believe so.
Councilman De Palma, so if you noticed in my memo, I'm sorry, not my memo, EI Associates memo, they had mentioned that earlier estimates of this was something, I think it was 750,000. So now we're at 1.263. The difference is in this contract here, I'm actually doing the water line and the sewer line for the entire park because I have to service the buildings. So there's a little bit of a higher cost. And then also just to maintain the other 3 buildings, I don't want them to deteriorate. So I had included that price as an alternate bid. And because it came in pretty reasonable, we're awarding the 3 buildings plus the farmhouse. So you'll notice that the number in the estimate for the architect was a little bit lower, but that's because it only included the farmhouse. And now we're doing 4 buildings instead of just the 1. But this is a pretty reasonable cost. And I'm actually not sure if I answered your question.
Oh, no, that's good. I mean, I think the project is well worth it. I mean, I think once those buildings are restored and then once that whole project gets completed, I think it's going to be a fabulous addition to the township. So I'm looking forward to it.
And
Eric, I just want to add that we already have secured Green Acres grant on this. Nicole, is $1.5 million correct?
Yes, well, actually 1.33 million from them. And then we're going out for another grant application for the Historic Trust.
And we also we're hoping that the Open Space Trust, where town contributes at the county, will eventually come through and provide the grants. And we are also hopeful that Green Acres will provide additional funding to complete the project. And the more important things for the residents is that this is one of the passive recreation facilities, not an active sports facility that will be used by entire town. Everyone can use and enjoy the facility.
I just wanted to add that it's so important to preserve these structures, these historical structures, And the longer that you wait to do it, the more deteriorated they get. And then that actually costs more money. And actually, if you look at the history, the prior administration, when the Smith property was preserved, and that house, the property, that the dwellings on that property were not taken care of, and sadly, they're destroyed. So, you don't want to lose history like this, and especially with the Smith family that, really wanted that property to be preserved for the town's enjoyment. Thank you.
Anyone else have a comment or a question? Being no hands, then I will take a motion. Proceed.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mr. De Palma.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes. And just for the record, I didn't
Mr.
move it. Not that I wouldn't, but somebody else did.
I moved it, Stella.
I thought you did, Mark.
Okay, I'm having a little trouble with this, my video too. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't want to take anybody's thunder, so.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Mhm.
thank you. Okay. Mr. Murphy,
Yes, I agree with Anita on this one.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, nine yes. The
Okay.
next one is
C8.
C8.
Right, Mr. De Palma.
Yes.
So I just want to clarification for this. So the web-based permit portal that we are looking to bring on, this is going to be just for tree removal, road openings, and the 200 feet list portal?
Yes, this approval is for that. We have previously, and we already have a planning board application just completed, and it came online this week. And so there's actually 4, and there's going to be more application that we, as you know now, with the way we may have to conduct business a long time, the new normal, we're going to have a 24/7 online business presence. And so we need to move all of our a lot of this permit application online. So these were the immediate needs that we have in engineering department. And so we selected them first.
Okay.
But yeah, they'll be able to submit the permit request. They'll be getting an email. They can pay online. So an entire process will be easy. And just to add that we have many applications throughout over the time we have built online. People can pay tax online. They can buy police report online currently. Those are available. Our construction department has an online presence where they can apply for permit online. So we're trying to make it easy for residents to conduct business with the township.
Madam President?
Yes, Mr. Pescetti.
Mr. Shah, since this is a portal for tree removal, can we use the fees that we're collecting under the tree removal to pay for this?
Yes, that's being done. It's being paid partially by the tree trust. What we have done is that there are certain costs on all of this application. They're shared by all the application, and then there are specific costs for each application separately. We cannot use the tree trust for other application. So there are part of this cost being charged to the tree trust.
Thank you.
Anyone else for any questions or comments?
Mr. Shah, I think it's great. I mean, Estella could attest, I don't really like paper and being handed paper and having to fill out paper. So I think the faster we can get stuff online, the better it's going to be. Folks can do it at their leisure and get it out. I think it's a great step.
When they appoint you, I had a dream. I got to move everything online.
We're definitely moving in the right direction.
If no one has anything else, I'll move it.
Can you put that in triplicate? A second.
Okay, moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown,
Lost her.
She's having some trouble, I think, with her internet, she said.
yeah,
Indicated she is having trouble with her
okay,
computer.
all right, I'll come back to her.
Okay.
I'll come back to her.
Yep.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar,
Yes.
and Mrs. Brown.
There she is.
Hold on, just gonna
Her again, Stella.
Okay,
call her now.
she might be back.
Is she back?
Ask her again, yes.
Is she back?
Yes.
Are we looking for me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yes, Miss.
So, it's the internet is so glitchy, like so bad. Sorry.
Okay, I need a vote on I need a vote on C8, Adina.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I heard most of it.
Oh, okay, do I have a yes or a no on a
Oh,
vote?
yes.
Thank you, okay, 9 yes. Okay, and then we go to C9,
That's Mr. Merwin.
Yes.
Mr. Merwin.
I was glad to see this placed on the agenda. I had asked for it to be on the agenda on April 22nd, except my request was that we waive the interest for the month of May, just as the governor suggests that what we do in this economic times is that the taxes or the interest on the taxes not paid get put off until June 1st. That was my request. Unfortunately, it wasn't allowed when I requested it, and the governor then allowed it a week later. And so I was glad to see that it was on, but listening to Mr. Shah's administrative report and then looking at the resolution, it says that interest rate will revert back to May 1st. I believe that defeats the purpose of the executive order by the governor. If they're not able to, if for some reason they're not able to pay their taxes, we understand we're in that financial quandary that we're in, unemployment is through the roof, and that was the whole intent of this. And I think that we should forego the interest on the taxes for the month of May and start it. If they can't make the payment in June 1st, that's when the interest starts.
I believe the executive, this is the way the executive order directs us to do it. We cannot do it. The waiving of interest has a tremendous ramification.
I just read it now, and that isn't how it reads.
Well, I'll let Mark give you the legal opinion, but I can tell you that financially, I would not recommend the council decide to zero interest, because once you zero the interest for the life of that delinquency, if that and any older, for that becomes a zero interest. It doesn't restore back after June 1st or July 1st. It stays zero forever. And that's the problem. There is an opinion by Division of Local Government Services of the same. There's an opinion by Tax Collector and Treasurer Association of all the collector, same thing. So we were not gonna, advise to do the change in interest. But when Governor Executive Order, what it did is it allowed to have the due date to extend from 10 days to 30 days to June 1st. And the executive order talks about the same thing what we're doing here. And I'll let Mark speak about that.
well, before Mark speaks about it, that is exactly why I asked Stella not to put it up, was because of that legal opinion from the Division of Local Government. All right. But I think that the governor's executive order trumps that. He goes on to say that there should be no interest because of the financial situation that our residents are in, and that interest rate should be foregone for the month. And then it starts June 1st. Again, you got the executive, or you got the ruling by the Division of Local Government prior to the governor making his decision. All right. I believe that the governor's executive order trumps that decision, and was its intent. If you read the order, it's its intent to forego because of the situation that we're in. Now,
I do not believe that, and but I'll let Mark talk about the executive order and our resolution that's prepared by legal. But one thing I want to tell you, that executive order did not allow us to delay payment to school or county. We're still required. We are doing this because we want to do the maximum we can, and we are extending, but we are required to pay school and county by 15th. And as you know, 2/3, 80% of our taxes are given out to the fire companies, school, and the county. And so we're gonna have to, squeeze in that 15 days delay. But I'll let Mark speak about the executive order and whether our resolution complies or not.
I appreciate it.
Actually, you're talking about two different things. All the executive order does was extend the grace period so that as of May 11th, if you don't pay, you're not late. So you wouldn't be charged with interest. That's all it does. So it extends it from May 10th to June 1st. What Mr. Merwin's talking about and what the Division of Local Finance was talking about has to do with reducing the interest rate for delinquency charges. The executive order doesn't deal with that. I think what they, well, I don't, if you want me to be, I won't be politically correct. What the governor tried to do was punt in between. Charging a delinquency on interest is one thing. Charging interest as to, when they're late is another thing. And I think that recognizing the fact that the Division of Local Government Services cautioned against reducing the delinquency rate to 0% and then extending it township wide, I think there was a recognition that that would cause financial hardship for the town. So I think this was more of a compromise to allow at least residents additional time to pay their taxes, and then also making it consistent with what Governor Christie did back under Sandy, where they simply extended the grace period. What you had initially talked about was actually doing away with any interest being charged for any payment that's late. And the executive order doesn't address that, but I think the executive order followed the Division of Local Finance Services because I think they also recognize that if towns started to reduce the delinquency rate to 0, again, if you do that, if you do it for one taxpayer, you have to do it to all the taxpayers. It can only be prospective only. So you wouldn't even been able to do it at the time, if you pass that resolution today, it would only be for everyone who's not delinquent yet. And then you would then you would only, you'd have to send out a notice to every taxpayer before it became effective. And then you would have to do another mailing if you were to change it again. So while they're related, they're actually two distinct things. An executive order only talked about extending the deadline, so to speak, or the grace period, so that your taxes wouldn't be considered late for the second quarter, so that you wouldn't have to pay any interest.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzelli. Thank you, Mr. Rizzelli. Anyone else for any comment or question?
Yeah, I just want a quick question from Mark. You can clarify this. The county's not offering any municipalities to waive their late fees. Am I correct on that? Hamacho or Mark, if you can answer that?
No, They're not waiving any late fees to us.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Dr. Greenberg, did you have your hand up?
No, I'm good, thank you. Mark
Okay.
took care of it for me.
All right. Anyone else for a question or a comment on C9? Seeing no hands, then I will ask for a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
9 yes. And we go to C12.
Yes. I separated C12. I just have a quick question for Mrs. Shapiro. One of the callers early in the meeting had mentioned this particular item, saying that there were recommendations that were made by the Historical Society. Could you give me a little information on that, please?
I have not received an email or anything from the Historical Society. I was actually surprised by that, but any recommendation that they have, I certainly would love to hear about or to see in an email or written or anything.
Yeah, from what I had heard, it was something about the logo, I believe, our logo to be in the back of the dais. But if I will ask them to please send you an email so that, if they have, like you said, any recommendations, I'm sure you'd like to share information with them as well.
That is actually a beautiful idea. Once we have this approved, should the council approve it, I'll be working closely with the mayor and our BA. Also, Mary from our TV studio, especially with the lighting, Susan from our court with some comments from our judge, and also our IT, our MIS department. So there's going to be a very big collaboration on it. So it's not just me, it's just I'm just the facilitator.
No, absolutely. You always do a very good job in getting all the groups together and getting all the information from everyone. And that's why when he mentioned it, I said, okay, let me just ask about it, and as you say, in the coming months, people will be able to weigh in, and it should be a very good project. Thank you very much, Mrs. Shapiro. I will make a motion if no one else has a question.
I had a question.
Second.
Mr. Pescetti, go right ahead.
Yeah, Ms. Shapiro, is the council going to have any input on on this renovation? And is it the entire renovation of that courtroom?
It was actually stemmed first by the HVAC units. They needed an upgrade. And while we were doing that, we also noticed that the dais needs to be updated. And there's some ADA guidelines that we have to follow once you start doing renovations. The lighting isn't great in there, and there's some things that we could do to upgrade the lighting. So I don't want to say it's going to be a total, tear down and replace. We're looking to do it in the most economical way feasible, but we're looking to, one, brighten and brighten the room, especially for TV viewing. And then also the big highlights is HVAC and lighting. And then along that, we would change the furniture and the carpeting, and perhaps the walls would be lightened depending on the color. But I leave that to the architect. They're the designer. And
Yeah, there's definitely a lighting issue in that room. But I was wondering, did anybody mention possibly making the dais like a moon shaped?
Councilman, yes, absolutely. There is going to be change on dais. And yes, council members, township clerk, through township clerk will be included. We're going to get everybody's input. And like council president says, Nicole does a great job of getting everybody's opinion gathering, putting it together. This is where the architect is going to play the role and talk to everybody. And obviously, Historical Society idea is great. So yes, council will have an input in that.
Great, thank you very much.
Yes, Mrs. Ward had some very good suggestions as well. So I think in the coming months, we'll see a good collaborative effort and come out on the other side with a very good project. So as I said, I did make a motion, and I believe Dr. Greenberg make a second. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay, seeing no hands, then we can call the roll. Stella, please.
Okay. Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
And President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, that concludes the consent agenda.
Council President?
Yes, Mr.
I know it's not included in the agenda. It just came out. And I don't need a vote, but I want to inform the council that Governor declared the rest of the year will be closed. We have a lot of daycare participants paid dues for the month of May and June. We need to refund them. Our next meeting is not until June 15th, so I don't want to delay. I'm gonna refund them as we get the numbers and everything worked out with the recreation and daycare. And we'll refund them, and we'll incorporate them as a manual payment at the next bill list in June 15th.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shaw. Anything else? We're good? Okay, seeing that, we close the consent agenda. I will now open it up to public comments on any subject matter. Stella, do we have anyone waiting to speak?
No, I don't see anybody here. Yes, I do. I have one.
Just give it a minute because it's delayed.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. We take our time.
Okay.
There's a typo.
Oh, okay, Nina, you have your hand raised?
Hi, Stella. Thank you for the second opportunity tonight to speak. I wanted to update. I don't know. I know I heard a few people talking about the construction idea, the idea of that building being done on Old Matawan Road, but it's not going to restore any building. It's actually going to destroy what was there, which I think, as far as I hear, is going to be a necessary component of it. I want to read off the list of 9 separate zoning applications, variances that are going to be needed to be passed in order to get this done. On top of which, by the way, Hamacho, before I forget, I can't remember the young lady who works on your team, the zoning lady. There's nothing on the town board, the town site regarding this meeting on Thursday. But anyway, these are the 9 things that that they're applying for. First of all, a density of 48 dwellings In an air per acre where 0 is permitted, it would be going from commercial to a residential property of 48 dwellings where none are permitted. The lot size of 0.98 acres where 1 acre is permitted in a pre-existing condition. That is the building that's already there. The size of it was given to is historical. If they kept it that size, that would have been an acceptable thing. But they want to apply for 48 apartments. The maximum floor area is 0.99, where 0.2 is permitted. Is permitted. The minimum landscape ratio is 0.32, where 0.4 is permitted. The setback to Old Matawan Road will be almost 13 feet. They're applying for 12.99 feet when 50 is required. The height of the building is 5 stories, where there is not a single building with the exception of the hospital in the town that is over 2 stories. And only 30 is permitted, by the way, for the height. Parking stalls are going to be smaller, 9 feet instead of 10.5 feet. There's are going to be 56 parking spots where 58 would have been required as part of the town ordinance. These are the things that they're applying for in their variance. It's disgusting. All of the neighbors have just been messaging me all night long, complaining about this once again. And I hope that the zoning board is actually going to allow these people to call in, because they're all prepared to call in. We're disappointed. By the way, the meeting notification was not sent by the town to the neighborhood, the 200 feet from the property. It was sent by the builder, which is not the appropriate route. It's supposed to be sent by the township as a notification. It isn't, Owen?
So can I correct the record again?
Yes, Mark.
So the fact of the matter is that notices are not sent by the municipality, it's sent by the applicant. That's required in municipal land use law. Secondly, if you go to the township website,
I'm on it right now.
Okay, if you click on agendas and minutes along the right-hand side, what'll pop up, you'll see it says government boards and committees. Then you click here for agendas, minutes, go down, find the zoning board, and you'll see it'll pop up. Zoning Board of Adjustment has the agenda.
Thank you.
So that's
now,
all
what
there.
about posting this on the Old Bridge page so that all the people in town who are disappointed and do not support this building?
So again, because it's the township website is the official site where things get notices get posted, documents get filed. To have multiple portals isn't a good idea. It's hard to control that. Things can get missed. So again, the website is the place where things get filed, where things get posted, and that's where people can have all the information, and it's all there. So there's not a need to create confusion.
Okay, this is not to create confusion. This is to get the message out. Eric DePalma thankfully actually posts a daily update as to the number of people who've been positively identified with COVID in the town. There's absolutely no reason that a structure such as this, which is going to be a 24-hour traffic building, can't be added to the items put on the website. We would appreciate that.
So as I said before,
as I
said before, applications are posted on the site. The governing body, it's not appropriate for the governing body to take positions relative to an application.
No, I'm not asking you to.
The particular boards involved will rule on those. If in fact there's a matter of posting information or the way you described of keeping minute-to-minute updates and things to that effect, the clear inference can be made by an applicant, and I'm sure you don't want to help the applicant to say that the township is posturing itself to be in opposition or support of a particular application. The town cannot do that. The town governing body cannot do that.
Okay, I understand, Mark. I understand. What I was going to ask you is, what about just the notification of the zoning meeting? Just the meeting, not anything about the meeting on the site.
That is also posted on the website.
I'm talking about on the Facebook page. Mary, nobody else is calling in.
I have to go on. If your time is up, it's up. I appreciate you calling, but we do have to see if there's anyone else as well.
Okay, you can't make exemptions.
Okay. Okay, all right, that's it. Time's up. All right. No, there's no other callers, Mary.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
There's no other callers at this time.
Merwin has a point of order. Yes, Mr. Merwin.
For,
Stella, we have one more.
Mark, if you can
I don't see it.
elaborate. Maybe we should keep the directions on how the public can utilize the system up a little bit. We just keep putting it up when we get to the thing. Maybe we should leave it up and they can view it and at least until they get used to it, you know?
Yeah, no, that's fine, but we have to adhere to a time so that if there are others, we move on. Stella, I believe you said there's someone else waiting to speak?
I see 3743, maybe it is Nina, same person.
So to Mr. Merwin's point, Mayor, I think he's talking about a different thing.
Oh, no, I know, Mark.
I think he was talking about accessing meetings.
Right.
And there's no reason why that notice can't be on, but Hamachi, you can correct me. Does the ID and the password change for each meeting if you do a virtual meeting?
Every meeting has a different ID and password, yes.
So that's why you have to keep changing it, Dave.
Yes.
They put a graphic up that gives all the phone numbers and
right.
the instructions for the *9 and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Can we leave that up or at least put it up during the course of the meeting more often than we are? Or I just think, what we're doing is we're putting it up as we get to that portion. And then people are scrambling.
So I don't know enough. As long as the phone numbers stay the same, I don't know if they do or they don't. The rest of the instructions probably stay the same relative to accessing it, except for the password and the ID will change. But I don't know if the phone numbers stay the same.
I believe it does change depending on, because they use thousands of phone numbers to allow. So when you create a meeting, they assign the numbers for that time frame. So yes, we publish that. We have posted it on the Facebook page. We have it. I think what Dave is referring to, I got you, Dave. What he's referring to is during the meeting, we put up the instruction page. He wants to keep that for a lot longer. The problem is that that's a sharing of the screen. If we do share that, then we don't have the council member's screen or none of those really. And sometimes somebody speaking, it will go behind the screen, and that's the problem. So we are allowing that a longer period of time to stay there. What we'll do next meeting is that before the meeting starts, we'll start 15 minutes before that and we'll share that for the entire, before the start of the meeting, and that will help people.
That's
that's all I want.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have another caller, 3743. I don't know if that's a new one. All right, 3743. Do you have a question?
Yes, hi, it's Alicia again.
Hello, Alicia. Okay, Alicia, could I have your last name, please, for the record again?
Rahacek, R-I-H-A, C as in Charlie, E-K.
Thank you.
Okay, former historical commission, former whatever. Yeah, well, I see what we're coming up against here. Again, this is technology. Again, what we're coming up against is throughout the township, our Wi-Fi or our internet connections are having problems. So if even our council member, Ward 1, who keeps popping in and out, is having an issue, this is just a general. I know that we're supposed to be working within infrastructure technology. We do have the association with our cable provider. I don't know how much more of internet technology that they are supposed to supply to us. And I have seen that throughout the township, Altice has been renovating the lines. Is there, does anyone know, and this is just a general, does anyone know whether or not the other competitive companies are actually renovating their lines, and if internet technology will be right up to par? Go ahead.
The only thing I can say is that we have a FiOS in part of the town, not all, entire town goes by FiOS, but that's the only competitor that provides the cable TV or internet services. And but we don't know if they're doing any additional improvements. They may be expanding the area coverage, but I don't believe that, I don't know, we have no information on their technology improvements.
All right, so they're not, so anything else besides Altice or cable, well, what they used to be Vision, anything else besides Cablevision, we do not know what they are up to provide internet access, or at least Wi-Fi access in the town, correct?
The only other thing we're looking forward to is the 5G technology that may allow competitive internet service providing, but that's to be seen. We don't know that yet. But other than that, no, there is no other technology company providing. And everybody's benefit is that the franchise agreement is actually limited control the township has. The cost, the company doesn't want to compete with another different company doesn't want to compete because the cost of laying cables, the labor costs are tremendously high. That's why nobody wants to come in town and start a new internet service or cable service provider.
I see. Okay, so most of the work that we've been seeing in town then is Cablevision. I don't know, because I subsist off of Verizon DSL, and yeah, private residents. I'm unable to get unable to get Verizon's new service. However, via Wi-Fi, if I link into via my cable provider, I get slightly better, but not great. How many other residents in town are huge exorbitant bills and getting very little back as a public infrastructure? So since we've had to deal with our cable provider for many, many years in the town, what can be done to make sure that all the residents of the town are capable and being taken care of with this new technology of Wi-Fi capability? Thank you. And I have one more thing.
Alicia, I'm gonna have to interrupt. Alicia, your time has gone way over. Okay, gonna have to interrupt.
Oh,
you. All right, thank
again,
you.
thank you.
That's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for working on the Cottrell farm. Keep it going. Okay.
Stella, we have one more.
Oh, we have one more caller?
Yes.
9453. Okay. 9453, welcome to the meeting.
Hi, how's it going? I recently purchased a home in Old Bridge, and I plan on knocking half of it.
Can I have your
Hello?
Can I have your first and last name? Could you spell your last name for the record, please?
Yes, Bart, last name Rybka, R-Y-B-K-A. Yeah, so I purchased a home recently in Old Bridge Township. It has about 3.5 acres. It's an older home, and I'm going to knock probably half of it down and do an addition. And I've had nothing but problems with code enforcement, and it's taking forever to even get some permits in. And I know with all this stuff going on, it's a little bit, but everywhere I go and everyone I talk to says they have the same problem. Is there anything we can do to kind of make the process a little easier? I mean, in the other towns that I've been in, it's been much, much easier, and this problem doesn't occur. It's like Old Bridge is notoriously known. for code enforcement being very, very hard to work with. Is there any way to speed up the process or get things going a little faster?
Well, we are, Council President, if I may, we are working with our code enforcement and a lot of improvements going on. If you have specific concern with your application, please reach out to me tomorrow or during the daytime, and I will connect you with the construction official in charge of that.
Yes, please.
They will certainly try to help you with your project.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I mean, for it to take 6 weeks to just get a demo permit is really, really crazy, you know. And I have all the paperwork, and I don't have a problem paying all the fees and having everything done properly. It's just like everything that I try to do, it's such a hassle with Township, you know.
Yeah, well, I apologize if you're going through some difficulty, but I will certainly try to help you. Call my office. My extension is 2040. You can also call directly to our construction official at extension 2480, Pat Reardon. And his email address is on our website, and we'll certainly try to help you resolve your issue.
Yes, I won't take up any more time from the meeting. I think I'll get in contact with you because I recorded a few of the calls that I called in, and they were rather nasty, the way they spoke to me. And all I wanted is just to finish the project and move in. You know, you guys are going to end up getting more from me tax-wise, and it's just going to make the township better. So I'll just be in contact with you tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Have a great night.
All right, thank you. You too. All right. There's no other callers, Madam President.
Have we waited long enough to see if there's anyone else who's calling in?
Okay, we could wait a little longer if you'd like.
Thank you.
Hey, while we're waiting, can I talk to Hamachu?
In person?
No, oh, he's silly. Hamacho, Verizon is running fiber through Southwood, down 516 and 18 in the last year. So if anybody's asking, Verizon is working on expanding in Old Bridge.
Yes, I said that they are, but I don't know how far they are or their detail. They don't. We don't have.
But they are laying fiber.
Good.
So just letting you know.
Tony, are they? Is this on poles? Do you have poles there?
Yeah, they're on poles.
They're only doing the poles. They don't know what they're going to do with the underground yet.
Okay, all right.
They may be working on 5G.
There are the.
Make a motion. We
Get a 5G.
There are no other callers.
Oh, let's take a motion.
I make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Okay, Dr. Greenberg made the motion to close the public portion.
Second.
By Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes to close it. Okay.
Thank you. Next will be discussion item 1, putting forward a resolution calling for Governor Murphy to reinstate the homestead rebate, which has financial impact on the lives of our senior community. Mr. Rizzoli.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to add that Councilman De Palma is a co-sponsor on this. I was on the agenda sheet. Thank you.
Sorry.
Listen, this is self-explanatory. I think everybody realizes that, stopping a program that helps individuals who've paid their fair share throughout their lives, and it's going to have a negative impact upon them. This governor is quick to suspend the homestead rebate program, and it's unacceptable while he continues to finance his sanctuary state policy programs. And I think any elected official in the state of New Jersey should realize that we need to be helping our seniors under the current financial circumstances, not hurting them. Okay, and I'm not surprised considering the governor feels that the Bill of Rights is above his pay grade. So what I'm calling for this council to do tonight, we pass a resolution to Governor Murphy, call on him to reinstate the homestead rebate program. I think it's time that we put our seniors first and the American citizens first. And we need to pick and choose at this stage what we should be spending taxpayer money on, which should be supporting our own people, supporting the people who actually paid into the system, not harming them. I think everyone out there needs to understand something. You can't suspend a program that helps our senior community. These are people who sometimes have to make the decision whether to pay for their prescription drugs or a hot meal. Okay, I take it very personal that it was so quickly suspended. It's unacceptable. Everything this governor does he puts the taxpayers second, and he puts his programs for his sanctuary state policies first. So I hope everybody is on board and supports this. Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Anyone else for any comment before we move forward?
Yeah, Council President. So when Mr. Rizzoli and I were talking about this, the reason that I wanted to co-sponsor it with them, similarly for the economically disadvantaged as well as our seniors, a lot of these folks since 2017 have built this in to their budgeting process. So these folks were, up until not too long ago, were relying on this credit happening. So, I definitely think that, as we are, when Mr. Merwin talked about Executive Order 130, as we're kind of looking to suspend any issues when it comes to delayed in tax payments and stuff like that, I think programs like this should still exist. These are the things that we should be looking to continue on and to move forward with, to allow our seniors as well as the folks that are also eligible for it to have this. Because right now, some of these folks, $300, $400, $500, whatever that credit would have been for this quarter, that is quite a substantial amount of money that they did not budget for, and a lot of folks do go week to week, month to month and stuff like that. So I do believe that the governor and the rest of the legislators should definitely look at reinstating this process and this program as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Anyone else for any comments?
Yes, I would like to just say that I agree that it should be reinstated. The seniors certainly depend on it. They deserve it. And it's not an astronomical amount of money when you think about it. And also, if they don't do it, the negative impact it has on the town. Because this is, as I said, if they've had this, they are depending on it. And it's just unfortunate that you would even think of doing this, especially at this time. If you want to suspend, one program, you can't pit one individual against the other. This has to be fair and equitable. And I really hope that the governor realizes the misstep with this and revisits it and reinstates it. Thank you.
Anyone else for a comment? I will just close by saying I do also agree. This was 11th hour, and that's something that a lot of people, senior citizens on fixed incomes, don't have that ability to make those kind of changes on a dime, so to speak. So I really do think it was very unfair to do it in that kind of, this kind of way. And I'm hoping that they will think about our seniors, think about the fact that those who receive this are someone who are on a fixed income, who don't have the ability. So please, we would sincerely hope that you would understand the plight of these senior citizens. So if anyone, do we make a motion?
John moved, I'll second it.
Okay, first by.
So you're clear, it's a motion to authorize my department to draft the resolution for the next meeting.
Yes. You clear on that?
I'm clear. I'm
Yes.
just making sure everybody else is clear.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
So we had a motion by Mr. Murphy and a second by Mr. Rizzoli. Am I
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Rizzoli, you were the second, and Mr. De Palma, you were the first. Was that it? I didn't get it.
Mr. Murphy was the first, and Mr. Rizzoli was the second.
Oh, okay, thank you, because it cut, the voice cut out. Thank you.
Sometimes that's what happens. I'm having a little hard time, making sure I got everybody right.
Okay. Okay, Mrs. Brown?
I'm gonna abstain, just because, I think as we all know in government, you have to have a little bit more insight into why people make certain decisions. So I'm gonna abstain for this one. Thank you.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yeah, I just wonder where everybody was when we're talking about our money, but when we're talking about the state's money, everybody chimed in. But yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes, it's not right what they did to our seniors.
President Sohar?
Yes.
We are our seniors.
8 yes, and 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you very much. Next will be discussion on
D2.
which is outdoor sale of fireworks and outdoor dining at restaurants. Mr. Shah?
Council Presidents, I'm going to turn it over to Lena, our planner, to go over both issues that is on the agenda, and then our attorney will speak to that.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So in the past 2 weeks, we have come across 2 topics and that I think we need to address as we think about reopening the state and how things will be in the future. The 2 topics that came about are 1, outdoor dining post pandemic, and the other one was outdoor sale of fireworks. I will first talk about the outdoor dining post-pandemic. As you all are aware, the pandemic has impacted the daily operations of many businesses throughout the state. Pursuant to the governor's executive order, retail stores, commercial operations, various businesses and offices still remain closed, and restaurants are only permitted curbside and/or drive-through pickup services. No dining customers are allowed. As the state prepares to reopen, there have been discussions that when the state reopens for business, it may so happen that to ensure social distancing and to prevent a second wave of pandemic, restaurants will be permitted to operate with only half of the dining capacity they were originally approved. As a result, in the past few weeks, many restaurant operators have reached out to the Township Planning Department, the Zoning Department, to find out post-pandemic how the Township would handle these requests for additional outdoor dining. In discussion with the Township Attorney, the Zoning Officer, and the review of Township Code, we find 2 things. First, the current situation with the restaurants is unique and is prevalent for all restaurants throughout New Jersey. At this point, the period for which social distancing is to remain in place is also unknown. Given the uncertainty and unpredictability of the pandemic situation, we hope to get further guidance from the state on how these businesses will be operated and handled after the pandemic is over. However, in the interim, we have reviewed our township code, and we find that in 2018, the township adopted an ordinance, Chapter 320 of the code, outdoor dining, to regulate and allow local restaurants the ability to establish incidental outdoor dining areas. Currently, outdoor dining areas are permitted through a permitting process and reviewed by the zoning officer. One of the requirements of this Chapter 320 includes that outdoor dining areas shall be limited in terms of table count or dimension, but at no point shall exceed maximum seating capacity of 8 persons, which implies that if someone has outdoor dining, which is more than 8 seats, then it triggers planning board zoning board review. In anticipation of operators requesting in excess of 8 seats under the current zoning ordinance, which would require a formal review by Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustment, we are requesting that the council temporarily suspend Chapter 320 of the code, maybe until Labor Day, and allow for a creation of a temporary permitting process or administrative review process. By doing so, we will actually prevent businesses from incurring additional application filing costs and further delays in opening such businesses. During the review process, the proposed location for the outdoor dining will be evaluated thoroughly to ensure that it does not impede the public health and safety of residents. It does not hinder the overall site circulation. We also have to ensure that the overall capacity of the restaurant, that is the dine-in and outdoor dining, does not exceed the original capacity. Otherwise, it would trigger a parking variance. And that, yes, so we actually are, we are looking to create this permitting process, a temporary permitting process, and the township attorney, do you want to chime in?
I just want to make you nervous, Lena. No, I don't want to chime in now.
So actually,
I got it, Lena. So obviously this is something we've been, Lena's been discussing with me in the topic following. And since we don't have another meeting until June, you know, and a lot seems to happen, we wanted to be in the position to be somewhat proactive with respect to the restaurants. You know, if we try to do it as zoning ordinance amendment, which ultimately this probably will require, by the time it becomes, you know, goes into effect, it'll be August. So, you know, the summer goes by. So I think in this situation, and given the current state with the emergency in place, that it would be appropriate for council to at least tonight take a motion to suspend that portion of the land development ordinance that deals with outdoor dining. Do it for a limited time period, you know, up until Labor Day. And then with respect to the process, we can do it administratively, but it's not going to be carte blanche. We're still going to require that they, you know, provide not a full site plan, but a plan to ensure that there's safety precautions, appropriate setbacks. I mean, you don't want to put this outside dining 2 feet from a roadway. That there's appropriate distance for parking, appropriate parking spaces. And that's a review process that we'll undertake. But given what the likelihood would be is that when restaurants reopen, you know, there's discussion that they'll only be able to have 50% capacity inside. Many restaurant owners will probably want to provide some type of outside dining, and at least this can provide some relief to those business owners. So what I would recommend is that if the council's in favor, that you take a motion to suspend. I mean, you can cite the code section. I don't remember off the top of my head. For a temporary time, I would suggest, you know, through Labor Day of this year, during which the requirement relative to outside dining that's currently in the code is suspended, and then replaced by an administrative process by which, you know, that an applicant would make application for a permit, and that the Community Development Office will set up parameters for which they can issue a temporary zoning permit to allow the outdoor dining.
I agree. It's something that should be done. The businesses are suffering and we have to be sensible and reasonable. We want them to survive. And it looks like the way to go, to have the social distancing outside. They can spread out better. They can, you know, utilize their surrounding area of the restaurant to the most efficient way to do it. And I'm sure they're eager to get back to work, and they would do everything in a safe way, and I'm obviously working with the town. So I'm in favor of this, and if you need a motion, I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay, but I'd just like to ask Mr. Mamakis, do you have anything to weigh in on this, Steve?
You gotta unmute.
Council President, I was gonna, Mayor wants to say.
Oh, yes,
He and
absolutely.
I discussed, and then I was gonna ask Steve to even provide his discussion with the public. So let Mayor go first and then Steve.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Mayor.
I think all the talking points were made already. I just want to emphasize how important this would be for our local businesses, especially our dining places of establishments here in Old Bridge that Steve has been working with. He'll come on and say a few words, but they, as you said, are very eager to get opened again. And we truly believe that part of the opening process is going to be increased outside dining. And so we know that one plan isn't going to fit every establishment. So give us the ability to have discretion, work with each one, and come up with a plan that gets them open where their customers are confident and have a pleasant experience and get the local economy moving again. So I would please, council, give us the opportunity. As Mark said, it'll only be for a limited time. And over the summer, we can probably put together something that we'll see what the future brings us here when it comes to restaurants and sustaining them for year round. So I would just ask the council to please support giving us the opportunity to work with each and every one individually.
Council President?
Yes, Mr. Pescetti.
Yeah, since this is, I was in full support of, changing our zoning to have this ordinance to allow restaurants to have outdoor seating, because our current ordinances do not allow the restaurants to have outdoor seating. So we enacted this change, right? So now, if this is going to be a temporary thing, why don't we forego the permit fee as well to help our restaurants do this outdoor seating without having to pay that $250 to have outdoor seating, because they're all hurting. And I think if this is just a temporary, if just for this summer, why don't we go ahead and say, you know what? We're going to do this without charging you. Because, what do we have? We have 600 restaurants in Old Bridge. And not all of them can have outdoor seating. All right. So there's only a small portion that actually can have outdoor seating. So I'd like to, put that up for consideration.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Mr. Mamakis, do you want to weigh in on this, please?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Council President. To the mayor's points, directly to the mayor's points, yes. And for everybody who's understanding, I've been in contact with many of the businesses since this has started. And yes, they are eager. I socialized these concepts to them. They're eager to participate. Councilman Pescetti, you're right on target. The first phase of that, of course, was to allow that outdoor dining to take place and for them to file for the permits. The permit fee is $95, but at this point in time, you are 100% correct, because I was talking to one of the businesses prior to us even having this discussion, and I said, in the meantime, while you're closed, let's go forward. And I've been talking to them to file for the permit for a long time. And they called me and they says, all right, we'd like to file for the permit. We need to get our architect's plans. So there is a process that they have to go through. So your point, Councilman Pescetti, is directly in line. They are suffering. They need to open their capacity. If you have some of the stores that have 2 or 3 tables in their store, they're going to only have 1. So I believe, yes, this is the proper steps we need to take to help them get back on their feet. It's a responsible way to do it for them. And of course, in the safest manner.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mamakis. Anyone else from the council for a comment?
Yeah, I just have one, Mayor. So, I fully support this. I definitely think that we need to help all the local businesses, the restaurants, and everything else. And I think as we kind of come out of this, I would ask Mr. Shah and Mr. Mamakis, we could start looking at all of our all of the ordinances that surround our businesses, and start to weed out some of them that are just old and antiquated. You know, let's become a more business-friendly town. Let's get the folks in here, right? We want to revitalize the economy, not only of our township, but of our surrounding townships, right? Let's get that done. The faster we can get some of these ordinances cleaned up or even taken off the books, I think the better it'll be. We'll start employing folks from our town. You know, I definitely think this is the time. This is the time to strike. So if we can start to look at that, you know, going forward, you know, the better and faster we do that, the quicker we're going to recover from this.
Here, here.
Okay, anyone else?
Council President.
Yes, Mr. Rizzoli?
Yeah, I support this also. I think, you know, we keep hearing about the science of everything. Now, you know, maybe at some point the governor can explain to us what's the science of supporting and keeping open corporate stores like, you know, BJ's and Home Depot and Costco. We're allowed to go there, but I'm not allowed to go to a Cafe Luna. You know, I want to see where that science is that we're allowing our small businesses to collapse. People lose their life savings. It's unacceptable. And I support this. And I know we've all been working together to try to help our local businesses. And this is just another component of it. So I think Councilwoman Greenberg Bell, I put a motion, I'll second it.
Okay, is there anyone else for any comments?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, I've heard all night about people talking that these small businesses are going to be going out. They're getting hurt very bad. Financially, they may not be able to come back in. Is there any reason we have to charge them this $95 fee to come back? And maybe if we said, if you come back in this time, we'll waive the fee to, you know, maybe help them come back. Why are we charging them a fee? We're back to the fees again.
So if I could,
If I may.
if I could, and to the extent there is an application fee, certainly council has the authority to waive any associated fee. And if you want to do that, my suggestion would be is that you include that as part of the motion. And what I want to do is go back at the next meeting, we'll memorialize it in a resolution, but the motion at least will allow us to get moving because of the time. So if you want to include a provision about waiving any associated fee for this particular purpose, include that in the motion. And to your point, Mr. De Palma, just so you know, Nicole and Vina actually do a really good job of weeding through the township's code over the years since I've been here, and they're constantly making updates. So that's a practice that's been ongoing, you know, certainly within the last 5-6 years. So they're well aware of that. And Vina aggressively looks to make revisions, as does Nicole. So that's something that's always been in the forefront, I can assure you, because they get contacted by Vina frequently and Nicole about making those revisions. And I think another thing is that, you know, given this situation, it actually will help us give us insight relative to not only this type of situation, but other ordinances dealing with crowds that we can also consider, because you know, it'll have to be subject to whatever federal regulations may come into place or state regulations. But to Mr. De Palma's point, that is an ongoing process. So that you know that we continue to do that and make the correct revisions as soon as we can.
I'm sorry, Everett, did you make that point? I must have missed it. You made the point about not doing that, waiving the fees?
Mr. Biscotti?
No, Mr. Biscotti did.
Tony did propose that. Let me just cover it, saying no, we have no problem about suspending fee because this is a short term and waiving the fees. The only thing is that I don't want to waive the permit requirement. And we shouldn't just allow everybody and anybody to open up. So they need to get permit. They need to apply to us and receive the permit, so that they are, you know, those that they have to provide information that can be safely done. Otherwise, we'll have a chaos and a problem, and then it's going to be worse. So yes, council can pass a resolution with the waiver of the fee for this specific period. And then we'll go back to the regular ordinance or the change in ordinance to allow that if needed. And then the fee will be incorporated properly in that time.
That sounds fine to me anyway.
Right.
Chairperson.
Yes, Mr. Merwin.
Yes, I also support this wholeheartedly. I just have a couple of concerns. when Mr. Pasquetti brought this originally to allow outside dining, we went through a lot of hoops. All right. What's gonna happen? I mean, we deliberately capped it at what, 12 people, was it?
8 tables. I think there are 8 tables, depending on the size. Yeah, yeah.
There's a reason we did that. There's reasons that certain places can't get it. Are we gonna just throw caution to the wind? And you know, because it's the right thing to do, you know, everybody's gonna have outside dining.
No, to your point, Mr. Merwin, I'm sorry, I don't cut you off, but no, that's what we don't want to do. You know, that's why you want to make sure that, you know, and I had this discussion with Vina, right? If you have a restaurant and you have, you know, between your door and 516, you have 5 feet, the likelihood of you putting more than 2 tables, you know, outside, you know, that's basically what we do, because we don't want to be in a situation as a municipality to allow things that are also endangering people. So there will.
You know, that's my concern, because we did put a lot of thought into this.
Right.
And, you know, we did go through it. That's my concern. The public safety is my concern.
And that's something, it's not going to be, you know, hey, you submit an application, you get, you know, 100 outdoor chairs, because we still have to consider location, parking requirements, additional traffic. Those are all things that I think working with Vina will come up with a guide to be used for anyone who wants to do it.
Social distancing takes
correct.
place outside too, you know.
Correct, absolutely, yep. We'll have to incorporate all that.
Okay.
All right, anyone for any?
Council President, Councilwoman Brown is back. She had emailed me a question, so I'm assuming she wants to ask that question herself.
Yep, go right ahead.
You want me to ask that? The question that
I actually don't. Yeah, I don't. That's why I emailed you.
Okay. So what she requested, she wants to find out is.
So, okay, so I Camacho.
Yeah.
It's okay if you asked it, but I was not asking in public because I just wanted to ask you offline. That's why I said.
Oh, okay, all right, I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought you wanted me to ask.
No, I just wanted to ask. I'd rather the meeting end earlier than, I feel like that would bring up like a long discussion. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask.
I know you just want to do what I asked you not to do, but it's okay. So we can move on if someone else has a question.
But come on, do not listen. I can't believe it.
I know, me neither, right? Oh, the good old days.
All right, all right. Down, both of you. Let's move on now. You're prolonging the meeting.
Okay. Anyone else for on this? Seeing no one?
Yeah, can I just say something?
Okay, this is your second bite at the apple. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but Mr. Merwin mentioned my name, so I want to respond.
Oh, sure.
I never wanted to forego the permit process. I think that the restaurant should still fill an application out and it should be reviewed. I was only talking about the fee, and that the fee in this temporary period, we should consider waiving.
Right.
And I would like that to be a part of the discussion.
Yeah, I wasn't picking on you, Tony. I was saying when you brought the original one, not this one.
Now you're taking another bite at the apple.
I didn't want you to think I was picking on you.
So we're clear. Vina, do you have the code section?
Yes, it's chapter 320, and where it talks about the 8-seat limit. That's 320-4 and M as in Mary.
Okay, so the motion would be to suspend that part of the land development ordinance pertaining to outdoor dining, to extend it until Labor Day, which is September 7, 2020, and to allow for the waiver of any fee associated with the application. And instructing the Department of Community Development in conjunction with the Department of Law to come up with an application and process, including guidelines to allow for the outdoor dining.
Okay.
That's a motion.
All right, everyone is clear on what the motion is, and I would just like, all right, and I would just like to also add thank you to everyone who's worked hard on this. The communication component, Mr. Mamakis, Rosemary Rivoli, they are constantly in contact with these businesses, and that's what they need. And that's in a time like this, you need to feel that We haven't abandoned you. And I really think the town has done a great job in keeping in contact with all of the small businesses. So Dr. Greenberg had made a motion, Mr. Rizzoli had made.
Okay, all right. Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Unmute.
Mr. Merwin,
Unmute.
Dave, unmute yourself.
Yeah, no, I had lost the screen somehow, yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Biscotti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay. Next will be council comments.
I'll take it.
President
Okay.
Soha, we still have to talk about the outdoor sale of fireworks.
Sorry, no, I'm sorry, you're right. The outdoor, the fireworks, I apologize.
No problem, no problem.
No,
I will mute her.
So the second topic, the outdoor sale of fireworks. And like, as you all recall, in 2017, the then Governor Christie, signed a bill to immediately lift New Jersey's complete ban on the sale and possession of fireworks by exempting certain sparkling devices and novelties. Now, what I notice is, since we are only 2 months from July 4th, the planning department, the zoning department has been getting requests for outdoor sale of fireworks. Now, this is actually an interesting topic, and Mark and I really had to brainstorm on this one, because there are two types of applications that we are receiving. One is when a retail store owner wants to sell fireworks right outside on his campus by putting up a tent for 2 to 3 weeks, and he wants to be able to use the parking lot. And then the second case is when some outside vendor rents a space on an existing parking lot of a commercial property and wants to do the same outdoor sale of fireworks. Mark and I had numerous discussions on how do we really tackle this, because right now our township code is silent, because obviously prior to 2017, we never had this issue. Now this is popping up. We often get these requests around this time of the year, and we thought we should thoroughly evaluate it and bring the topic in front of you. So when it is a retail store that wants to put up a tent and have outdoor sale of fireworks, it is an accessory use to the principal permit. So the retail store or the retail use is the principal use, and this is just a component of it. It exists only for 2 to 3 weeks, and then they remove the tent, it's gone. In this case, based on municipal land use law, you do not evaluate such uses for additional parking, because the principal use contemplates and includes all the parking requirement. So we would recommend that in this case, there be a permitting process wherein somebody who wants to sell outdoor the fireworks outside submits a concept plan to us. We review the exact location, the area of sale. We ensure that it does not hinder the overall, the location does not hinder the overall site circulation. We ensure that protection of public health, safety, welfare is utmost priority. We make sure there is some sort of barricade, but there could be a reviewing process in this instance when a retail store wants to sell fireworks. The second type of use, when a vendor, an outside person, wants to rent a tenant space on a non-residential property, according to me, that is like having a secondary use on the property. In this case, our land development ordinance is silent. We don't talk about it. And if it is silent, it is not permitted. So in such cases, we should, if a zoning permit application is submitted, we recommend that because we don't have any regulations in place, we just deny such applications. But if outdoor sale of fireworks is an accessory use, then they be approved after strict evaluation, review of the concept plan, and obviously keeping in mind the public health and safety. So, Mark, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'm not used to talking so much at meetings. Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to the last issue, but obviously the concern here is that it's the property owner. I liken it to when Home Depot uses their parking lot to sell those carpets that nobody seems to want to buy, or the plants or things like that. So you have the property owner who makes the application and allows these to be sold. I think it'll also be subject to like if the fire official probably may need to go out and do an inspection. But our review is simply on the zoning aspect of it. It's basically a situation, as Vina said, if it's a retail and you're selling goods, that's an accessory because retail is selling retail and the property owner. What we don't want to encourage is a situation where you have a store and some truck pulls up, parks his truck, and starts selling stuff out the back of the truck. That we don't want to have. We want to be able to make sure that the property owner is vested, that we have somebody to can have some control in that regard, and then similarly, because it's a unique situation, because you have potential multiple uses on the same lot, that when it's a accessory use, that we have a similar type of administrative review as opposed to a full application. But it would only be in those instances where it's the property owner who's wishes to sell it at a site that's outside the building versus a property owner having somebody come on their property with a truck and sells it. That I don't think we should do, and I would discourage that and not recommend that.
So, Vina or Mark, how did we deal with this last year? And so I know last year I saw folks like Walmart and 7-Eleven on 34 had it, that I remember. How was it dealt with last year?
So last year when we got these applications, actually I caught it much late in the process. By then, zoning permits were already filed in. We talked to Mark. There was no, it was literally a couple of days before the incident. So the tents were already up. We didn't have a mechanism, or we didn't have time to thoroughly review it at that moment. So we just treated them as accessory use. But now that we are 2 months ahead of I think we have time to review it and really flesh it out further.
Councilman De Palma, we didn't deal with it last year.
Okay.
And we had some issues.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to deal with it yet this year. So here we are at the 11th hour looking for some help. Some of the establishments ran fine, some did not. They opened up, like Mark said, like roadside stands where there's no parking. People are on a shoulder walking, and if they were in an establishment, it was too small. They were taking up a large portion of the parking lot, which caused customers to park elsewhere on other people's property. So there was some locations where it did cause some problems for us. So that's why we're here tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't want people buying stuff off the back of trucks.
Especially now when you have businesses that are struggling to open, and here comes a guy with a tent.
Well, no, I agree.
A full-blown business, no pun intended.
Especially we're gonna have tents opening up in front of businesses that are just reopening potentially after the economic shutdown. So no, I definitely think it should be. I was just curious as to what we did last year, because I know we did have quite a few pop-up tents.
We took the phone calls last year.
And Mr. De Palma, just to add on, in fact, last year I observed that some of those parking lots were really not adequate. It wasn't even safe to put up those tents there. And that is what we want to prevent this year, so that we know exactly what we are going to look at and do a thorough review of these sites. So any site where it's not safe, they would not be permitted.
Okay. Anyone else have a question? Will there be, the safety standards will be out there so that they know what they have to adhere to, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who has a question or a comment?
Need a motion?
Motion by Dr. Greenberg.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Mrs. Brown?
Yes. What is it?
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Mr. Berwin, excuse me, did you have a question?
Yeah, what is it exactly? What is what we're voting, exactly what we're voting on?
Okay, Mr. Rizzoli, do you want to break it down, please?
Sure. Basically, Mr. Merwin, it's a motion to authorize the the institution of an administrative process by which the township would allow those people seeking to sell fireworks on their site. We issue a temporary zoning permit, but it's only in connection with those property owners who own the property who would be selling it. And you're not able to, have a third party lease space from the property owner for that purpose. And we would have similarly a modified application process for a temporary zoning permit to allow these types of on-site sales in connection with fireworks only.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that brings up another question, Council President.
Yeah, Mr. Piscetti.
So if, let's say I own a store like a Walmart and I have a very big parking lot, and my friend comes along and he wants to sell fireworks in a tent in my parking lot, and I have plenty of room, you're
No.
telling me that this will prevent that?
Correct.
Why?
Because for the very reason that I said, you can't have these I don't own the property. Somebody needs to have a vested interest. What you don't want are these, tents, trucks popping up everywhere and people selling things out of the back. I would think you wouldn't want it. I shouldn't presume to know.
Yeah,
what you
if I own the property and I can lease out my space for a couple of weeks to a fireworks tent, and it's safe, and our zoning says, okay, you can put it here because it's safe and you have enough room, why wouldn't you allow it?
Because it's the type of situation where the property owner should be vested versus allowing a third
Yeah, well,
party.
I'm the property owner. If I were the property owner and my friend came to me and wanted to lease a small space in my parking lot and he wants to sell fireworks and I'm in agreement, I want to do it, why can't I do it?
I think Tony, Vina tried to explain that accessory, and Vina, you want to go over that concept?
You use my analogy. I own the property. It's the size of Walmart on 18. I want to lease out a little space to my friend who's going to sell fireworks. Why can't I do it?
Listen, point of order here. We have a motion, a second. We had a vote going on.
No, it's changed. The attorney changed it.
Mark, did you change?
I didn't change it.
No one changed anything. We got a vote going on. Let's finish the vote. We had a motion, second, we call a vote.
There's nothing written in front of us. That's why I asked the question. All right. And that's why we need the answer. He gave us the answer. Now it changed Tony's mind. There's nothing in writing in front of us. That's why I asked, Mark.
I agree. But if I try to explain.
Not you, the other Mark.
Mark answered the question, Dave, then we have a vote going. We're just not going to stop the vote. Tony can vote no if he chooses to vote no. You can vote.
I want to hear Vina's answer.
Wait a minute, that was a Q&A process. We have a motion, a second, we got a vote going.
Nobody made the motion, though.
There was a motion.
They only made a motion. They didn't say what they were motioning.
Let Vina answer the question.
All right, let's let Vina answer this question and then we go right to the vote.
Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Piscetti, the difference is when a retail store owner wants to sell firecrackers, it is considered a part of the principal operation. So the sale of fireworks is incidental and accessory to the legally permitted use. Now, when you are the owner of Walmart and you call a friend to come in and sell something on your property, you are creating another use. You are creating another secondary use. And our land development ordinance does not have a use listed as outdoor sale of anything, whether it's fireworks, anything. So there is no use that says outdoor sale. So in that case, it's a secondary use on a property that is not permitted. If you want to do so, you would have to go in front of the zoning board and get an approval for the secondary use.
Okay, so in that instance, if I was the owner of Walmart and I had a friend that wanted to sell fireworks, I would have to go and get the permit.
No,
Correct.
no. He would have to get, to the extent that he's allowing a second business to operate on his property, he'd have to get a variance.
Okay, thank you.
A second business that is not permitted by the
Right. So he'd have to apply for a variance.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Dr. Greenberg Bell and a second by
I
Mr.
second. I was paying attention what was being said. Thank you.
It's already done.
Enough of your comments, Rizzoli.
Okay, let's go to a vote, please.
We were up to Dr. Greenberg. Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
No.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, council comments.
Okay.
Motion.
Okay, we'll go down the line. From the bottom to the top, we'll take it in the other alphabetical order, okay, to make it fair. President Sohar, would you like to go first?
Okay, well, I'd like to, again, tell everyone be safe. And, you know, I think Old Bridge is doing a great job. I think all our professionals, our staff, everyone, the mayor, administration, Mr. Shaw, everyone is trying very hard to follow the prompts and get through all of this. So we ask for everyone in town to have a little patience, and hopefully, you know, as time goes on now, things are going to get better. Also, I would be remiss, and I was earlier in the evening, not to extend my sympathy and condolences to Mrs. Walker and her family on the passing of her sister, Pat Sinardo. Pat was a resident here in the Arbors for over 30 years, very active in the community, and she will be greatly missed by her family and her friends. And Mrs. Walker, I really do want to extend my sympathy to you and your family. Everyone have a good Mother's Day as it applies, and thank you very much.
Okay. Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I have a question. A resident asked about the parks in Old Bridge. They're open currently 9 to 2. When are we going to reevaluate? Is there a time frame in mind when we're going to reevaluate opening for longer?
This week, Councilman Walker, we'll look at it. We did a time thing for a reason. We can always extend the hours, but we're going to reevaluate the parks along with some other facilities in town this
Okay,
week.
thank you. I just had a
Thank
resident.
you. Great question. Thank you.
My question.
Okay. Mr. Rizzoli?
Oh, thanks, Stella. Just want to wish everybody once again a happy Mother's Day and stay safe. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pescetti?
Yes, you know, all along the lines of, oh, first, what I want to say is Dr. Greenberg's sister also passed away, and my condolences to her as well as to Ms. Walker. Just wanted to say that. Also, we as a council, I believe, in my opinion, should really be looking at our businesses very closely, because it's a very, very difficult time. You got people that have their life savings on the line, and you know, they're practically closed, just doing deliveries or whatever. And you know, whatever we can do as a town to help our local businesses, just on a temporary basis, whatever it is. I think financially, if we can help them, if it's possible. I know that, everything's tied. We have a budget, we have a balanced budget, and every, dollar we don't take in, we have to reduce somewhere else. It becomes very, very difficult. But as a council, I would just want everybody to be thinking of our local businesses and, just make any adjustment wherever we can. That's all. And happy Mother's Day. That was it. Thank you.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Walker. That was my exact question. I had 4 people told me that was a little early to be closing, so you already took care of that. Thank you. And I didn't realize that Anita's sister died too. I just want to give my condolences to both of you. This is the only meeting this month, right?
Yes.
This is it.
Okay, do we have to pay the employees at every meeting?
Oh my God.
No. Employees are paid. Employees are paid to payroll. It doesn't coincide with the council meetings. You approve the payroll. For example, you approve April 24th payroll tonight. So,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that because that happened with us one time. LBM way, we forgot the payments at this meeting. So, all right, thank you.
you authorize me to process the payroll.
Yes, make sure they get paid. See, you should have.
Okay, Mr. Merwin?
Yes. I would be remiss if I did not announce that May 17th to the 23rd is EMS week. And the job that the EMS groups have done in this town in the last 2 months have been phenomenal. I was surprised that we didn't have a proclamation honoring EMS week, but that hasn't been the case in a couple of years. But they have done a hell of a job, and we should be applauding them, not ignoring them. Anita, Debbie, I'm sorry about the loss of your family members.
Thank you.
I thought, hopefully somebody had put that out. But I wasn't aware of it. And everybody have a great Mother's Day, and everybody stay safe. Keep that social distancing. Wear those masks. I'm surprised at how many people don't wear masks, but they are out there. And the sooner we can get our parks open for passive recreation for longer hours, the better we'll be. And everybody have a great and Tuesday weekend next week.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes. First of all, I want to say that I'm so glad that Mr. De Palma brought up that it's Military Appreciation Month. And I think we should all pause and really, I personally am in awe over our military. Our military should be the strongest actually in peacetime. And I think we all witnessed that. When you saw that mercy and comfort, when you saw the comfort coming into the harbor, it is amazing. And a lot of people don't realize actually what the military does all the time. And I'm so appreciative of their expertise. And I remember when someone was interviewing them after how quickly they put up the hospital beds at the Jacob Javits Center, Central Park, they said, "Oh, so what's your schedule?" And they said, "Sir, I work 24/7 for the American people." And that is absolutely true. And actually, I want to say for our police department that for those who are not aware, that we had received one of the highest honors through accreditation from the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. And we're on the pathway to do that again. And I just wanted to compliment our police department for the work that they do all the time. And it's so important for the community, for their safety. And as you know, we're all proud of the fact that Old Bridge was ranked the 15th safest community in the nation. And I think when these requirements that the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs puts forward, and we can achieve that high honor, that speaks volumes. So I just want to thank the police department for all their efforts continuously. And to all the moms out there, enjoy Mother's Day. I know sometimes you're not with family, especially at this time. For me, I want to say the silver lining of this pandemic, my daughter is with me 24/7. So I think I'll have a great Mother's Day. Thank you.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes, so I just wanted to piggyback off of what Mary said earlier about Ray Marino and the folks at Lake Ridge. So I'm a Lake Ridge resident. So outside of also what Ray did, Kim and Ed Hussey actually put together a marathon. So I was one of the unfortunate souls that decided to run 26.2 miles a week and a half ago. But through that and through the work with both Kim and Ed, we were able to raise $2,200, which we donated through Giuseppe's to get food over to our hospital and also for a food bank and for our local first responders. So I just wanted to thank them publicly and to thank Giuseppe's for allowing us to donate through them so that they can get the food and everything to the proper hands. And it was the first time I ever run a marathon. It wasn't that bad. The last 6 miles are the worst 6 miles of your life. I'm just throwing it out there for you. 5 hours and 46 minutes of running. My knee is still throbbing a little bit.
And you're young.
The other thing, just so now, like with schools closed, I just wanted to thank all the teachers in town. They are doing as best as they can, right? They were kind of thrown through this situation just like everybody else, and also all the parents who are now become surrogate teachers along with the teachers. So, I just wanted to thank all of them. We're almost there. Memorial Day is coming. Middle of June is coming. Hopefully, we all get through this. And then as we get through the summer, hopefully we can have the schools open as normal come September. But, thank you everyone for your efforts, throughout town. Having 2 young kids myself, I know the struggles of 2 working parents trying to work as well as teach. My wife is doing most of the teaching, but I do see the struggle a little bit. So, I just wanted to thank everybody in town for that. And then also, on a lighter note, I am a Star Wars geek. So on May 4th, I will say, may the 4th be with you. And for all those, yes, let's see, that is Darth Vader on my cufflinks. So everyone have a great night. Stay strong, and everyone, happy Mother's Day again. And also have a great Memorial Day. Hopefully we can have some semblance of Memorial Day this year.
Thank you.
Mrs. Brown?
I just wanted to send my condolences as well to Councilwoman Walker and Greenberg on the loss of your sisters. Sorry to hear that. Also, of course, early happy Mother's Day to everyone, and hopefully everyone stays safe and healthy. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Okay. No other comments, then I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Moved by Fischetti, second by
Second.
Dr. Greenberg. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Be safe.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
And President Sohar?
Yes, thank you, Stella. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right, yes. Please remember to make sure you click leave the meeting. Okay?
Yes, please.
On your devices. Thank you.
Good night.
Happy Mother's Day.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.